don't get any sound in there, okay? One thing is to check, make sure your mic's unmuted, you know, and that the level is like up higher. Generally with most mics, now mics will vary, you know, like type of microphone and how it's being used. But generally on yellow is a good place to start for any microphone. And you can go up to 4. Once you hit 5, you'll almost start getting feedback. And again, that can be lower for more sensitive microphones. So we might round that a little bit into like number 6. We get multiple different things. Okay, so if you didn't hear me sound in there, the number one thing to check, but it's working in the room, we would test the mic in the room with sound, is this last icon here, the settings icon. There's these
שיר למעלות, אשא עיניי אל ההרים, מאין יבוא עזרי. עזרי מעם אדוני, עושה שמיים וארץ, אל ייתן למות רגליך, אל ינום שומרך, הנה לא ינום ולא יישן שומר ישראל. אדוני שומרך, אדוני צילך, על יד ימינך, יומם השמש לא יככה, וירח בלילה. אדוני ישמורך מכל רע, ישמור את נפשך. אדוני ישמור צאתך ובואך מעתה ועד עולם, מעתה ועד עולם.
The great 20th century rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel famously said, "When I was young, I admired clever people. Now that I am old, I admire kind people." If you'd only met Toby Wallach, a woman who was deftly able to blend the balance of wisdom and compassion. It's strange for us to be here today, to send Toby off to her final resting place. For many of us, her passing comes as quite a shock. We didn't realize how sick she was. Yes, we knew she had health problems, but Toby was planning on moving back to Capitol Lakes. Rehab was on the horizon. This woman of strength and determination, still gone too soon. This morning, our hearts are heavy with loss because Toby mattered to us. She mattered to her family and the people who loved her. We take comfort that in the Jewish tradition, we do not bury a person. We simply bury a body, because Judaism does teach of an eternal soul, a spark that will not be extinguished. And Toby is that spark. With that in mind, I invite you to turn to the front of the program. Join with me in the reading. Do not stand by my grave and weep. I am not there, I do not sleep. I am 1,000 winds that blow. I am a diamond glint on snow. I am the sunlight on ripened grain. When you awake in the morning hush, I am the swift uplifting rush of quiet birds in circling flight. I am the soft star shine at night. Do not stand by my grave and cry. I am not there, I did not die. To offer a beautiful setting of Psalm 139, we invite forward a cantor, but today, more importantly, a son, David.
Whither shall I go from thy spirit? And whither shall I flee from thy presence? If I ascend up into heaven, thou art there. If I make my bed in the netherworld, behold, thou art there. If I take the wings of the morning and dwell in the uttermost parts of the sea, even there would thy hand lead me, and thy right hand would hold me. And if I say, surely the darkness shall envelop me, and the night about me shall be night, even the darkness is not too dark for me. But the night shineth as the day. O Lord, thou hast searched me, and knowest me, for there is no word in my mouth, but lo, O Lord, thou knowest it, thou knowest all.
The words of Ralph Waldo Emerson: to laugh often and much, to win the respect of intelligent people and the affection of children, to earn the appreciation of honest critics and endure the betrayal of false friends, to appreciate beauty, to find the best in others, to leave the world a bit better, whether by a healthy child, a garden patch, or a redeemed social condition. To know even one life has breathed easier because you have lived. This is to have succeeded. The pain of this moment seems almost too much to bear. Loss, yes, but this loss? Mourning, yes, but now? Grief is so hard to come by. There are few sources of comfort other than the presence of friends and family who have come together this morning to show how deeply they have been impacted by the quality of this unique and remarkable person. It is the sad news of Toby's death that brings us together today, but it's the quality of her life that makes us want to be here. We know we honor her best by focusing less on the circumstances at the end of life and more by sharing stories on what she meant to each of us. Many of us know what a privilege was to be her friend, her neighbor, her family member. Wherever her path touched you, you knew you were in the presence of someone special. What do you do when you don't know what to do? You show up. You join together. It's actually one of the great mitzvahs of our tradition. So this morning we join together with Dan and David and Lori, Samuel and Noah and Jacob, to pay tribute to our beloved Toby. We'll share psalms and poetry. We'll sing and pay tribute, and cry and laugh. We'll be together even as her death leads a part of us empty. I invite you to turn to the inside of the program. We'll read the words of Psalm 23, one of the traditional morning prayers, together. And then once again, David will offer it in Hebrew. Join with me. With God as my shepherd, I shall not want. The Eternal makes me lie down in green pastures, leads me beside the still waters, restore my soul, guides me in straight paths for the sake of God's name. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You have anointed my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Eternal forever.
Mizmor LeDavid, Adonai roi lo esar, binot deshayar bitseni, al mei menuchot yenechaleni, Nafshi Yeshovev Yancheni B'magelei tzedek Lema'an Shemo Gam kielech begetzal mavet lo irara ki hata imadi shivtecha u'mishantecha mayanachamuni Taroch lefanai, shulchan neged sorerai, dishanta vashemen roshi, kosi reva. Chesed yirdefuni kol yemei hayei v'shavti beveit Adonai le'orech
The book of Kohelet, the book of Ecclesiastes, talks about everything that will happen in a lifetime and recognizes these famous words that there is a season and a time for every purpose under heaven. Join with me in the reading. To everything there is a season and a time for every purpose under heaven. A time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant, a time to harvest, a time to tear down, a time to build up, a time to weep, a time to laugh, a time to grieve, a time to dance, a time to embrace, a time to stand alone, a time to seek, a time to lose, a time to hold on and a time to let go, a time to rend, a time to mend, a time to keep silence, and a time to speak. it is our time to speak. And we'll begin by inviting forward one of Toby's grandsons, Samuel, to offer a reflection.
She was our North Star, the sensation that we feel when we have tears brought to our eyes, the tingling experience in our hands when we grow restless. These are what make us feel alive. When my grandma lost her ability to feel in a terrible car accident in 2015, she went into a coma and would not wake up. One day I came to visit her. That day, a miracle happened. In the hospital room I sat in, I said, "Grandma, wake up." And somehow she did. That is a miracle. I believe it had something to do with my grandpa, whom had been watching over her the whole time. And now, she will be watching over us, and will make miracles happen in no time. As she loved us, and when we love someone, their soul does not leave. They cling on to those whom have affection to give. We love you, Grandma Toby.
Thank you so much, Samuel. We'll next hear from two of Toby's children, Daniel and then Lori. Daniel, move the mic down just a little bit.
I think that's a short joke.
No.
Thank you all so much for being here this morning. My family greatly appreciates your support. Also, thank you to the rabbi and the cantor and the staff here for taking care of us and making us feel so welcome. Also, Grass really has made a difference. My mother was a fierce protector and advocate of her family. She loved her children and grandchildren with the highest intensity possible. It was paramount to her to not repeat the challenges of her upbringing and to make everyone feel loved. It would have been enough for her just to see her 3 grandsons, so beautiful and strong and successful, but there was so much more. She ingrained the power and importance of family connection in all of us. She was the matriarch of our family, imbued with the skills to navigate the strong personalities of her 4 only children, of which they often said, "I was 3 and 4. There was a plan to have a 4th child. I destroyed that. And she stayed and had the force to embrace each other and help stay connected, force us to stay connected. That was her goal, and that will be achieved. My mom was the central office, keeping everyone's schedules. Danny, it's Jacob's birthday. Have you called him yet? Sorry, I do have to do my mom's voice. We all do it. Danny, your sister is traveling to Inner and Outer Mongolia for work tomorrow. Make sure you call her in case she gets detained for starting a revolution among the workers. Danny, please call your brother. He is driving to Alaska from New York in one day to buy another car, and I want you to talk to him about that, etc., etc., etc. This is her way, or was her way, of expressing her love and care. But if you messed with the Toby communication system, you could be in trouble. The best example of this was when I was in college and was being a college student, perhaps a bit inconsiderate and selfish. I did not respond to her messages promptly. She called again and left another message. I did not call her back in an appropriate or timely manner. This resulted in one of the greatest phone messages of all time, so beloved by my college roommate that he still occasionally brings it up 35 years later. It went something like this. If my son Daniel still lives here, could he please call his mother? Thank you. Yes, I called her. And after having my own children, I realized exactly the importance of good communication and timely responses. There is no way I can express my appreciation for all the opportunities my mother created for my siblings and I and her grandchildren to experience the arts in every conceivable fashion. The opera, the symphony, museums, that was paramount that we have that education, and it was passed on. One of my favorite examples is when Noah was extraordinarily young. They took him to the opera, and they were in the front row, and one of the cast members actually handed him the arrow from his queef of flowers, of arrows. Later in my life, I expressed an interest in jazz and blues. I deviated from the family norm. And my mom, being who she was, she drove me to the Star Plaza Theater in Maryville, Indiana. If anybody knows that area, it's an interesting area. And she took me to see B.B. King, very much outside of her wheelhouse, but she made that happen because it was important to me. My mom's philanthropic spirit was legendary. She worked for and gave to so many organizations. She very much embraced the Jewish concept of tikkun olam, the obligation to heal the world through good deeds. She and I had many wonderful discussions regarding her philosophy on life and religion. She instilled deeply the importance of Judaism in all her children. Her greatest pride was to see that all her grandchildren were bar mitzvahed. Her vision of God was not as concerned with following every ritual and practice, but rather trying to be a good person in your daily life. I feel it necessary also to mention her culinary skills. My mother was a master chef. She had a wide vocabulary of truly outstanding dishes. Some of the time, her natural intuition in the kitchen caused trouble. She had the ability to take other people's recipes, take them off the paper, and make them better than the original. My favorite example of this was when she was preparing my Aunt Renee, of blessed memories, leg of lamb recipe. She was making it at our cottage when Renee and her then boyfriend, Rasmi Shalash, were visiting. Rasmi commented that Toby's lamb is the best I have ever tasted and that Renee should learn my mother's recipe. Renee promptly left the room and remained silent for a highly extended period. For those of you who know Renee, that was something. My mom very much expressed her love in her cooking. She also believed that it was her obligation to make sure that her children also knew how to cook, and that was achieved. My mother was a wonderful, loving, highly complex, excessively intelligent, and giving human being. The void that I will feel, especially on Thursdays when I would take groceries to her, or Sundays when we would have meals with her, will not be filled, and it will be felt. Thank you.
Thank you.
Toby Lynn Shapiro Wallach, our mom, was a woman of consequence. She might not have said that of herself. In many ways, she underestimated herself and her impact, like many women of her generation. But there is no doubt. So many people who read her obituary have said to me, I had no idea she did all of that. So please let me share about our mom, so a full sense of her can be carried forward in blessed memory. In some ways, she was a woman of her era. Born in January 1940, she was barely 4 in her hometown of Prairie du Chien, Wisconsin, when her father, Herman Shapiro, volunteered as an Army doctor in World War II. A photo always in her homes displayed her dad in uniform with her mom, Toby, and her brother, Jay, at a base shortly before he shipped out to Europe. During her childhood in Prairie du Chien, after he returned, Toby witnessed her dad treating any and all, accompanying him in house calls. She used to tell us the stories, to the tiny river and farm villages, and the payments of eggs and chickens, bread and jam from poor patients just showing up on the door. As the only Jewish family in that tiny Mississippi River town, she met her longest time 75-year friend, Gail Fells, with us online from Maine. Hello, Gail. Who Toby visited last during a recent trip to the Florida Keys, and other Jewish kids at Camp Pinemere in Minocqua. The stories of her summers at Camp Pinemere from age 6 on have provided endless amusement to her kids and grandkids. She was heading into her senior year in high school when, coming off the camp train, she learned she'd be living in Chicago with her mean aunt to attend the University of Chicago Lab High, from which she graduated at 17 in 1957. Like her mom, Lucille Heen Shapiro, she was college-bound. The Block Heen Shapiro family greatly valued education. That helps to explain why Toby was a great supporter of her kids' alphabet soup of advanced degrees. Toby met her husband of 53 years, Peter, when they were fixed up as freshmen at the UW in Madison, a date we kids actually acted out in a play for their anniversary one year, to my mom's delight, using the box of dress-up clothes and imagination clothes Toby kept for us. They married that summer after they graduated, Toby with a social work degree in 1961. They lived much of their life in Wausau. After working pre-kids as a social worker at what is now the North Central Health Center, Toby took the lead raising our family. Toby viewed her children, me, David, and Danny, our happiness, education, and success, and that of her 3 grandsons, Jacob, Noah, and Samuel, as a critical life mission. This included ensuring cultural literacy with boundless museum, concert, bookstore, and other visits, exposure to the world, and an ability to cook well. How privileged we were to have someone with her intellect and organizational skills raising us with a whirlwind schedule of reading, music, pick your instrument, but you will learn to read music, art, dance, sport, and other activities, regular trips to Minneapolis and Chicago to see ballet, opera, go to museums, see other worlds and people, getting dispatched to our aunts for weeks in the summers in Chicago to get citified, and to Jewish and other summer camps. The odometer on Mom's blue Bonneville and later vehicles rolled on Rib Mountain skiing, summer pool, riding lessons, Hebrew school, marching band, et cetera, runs. And I see the lovely Schrader girls, our neighbors here, who were in those cars sometimes. In Wausau, Toby built a wonderful circle of friends, many of whom she kept to this day. She was one of few young Jewish women in Wausau when she arrived and became the welcoming committee as others moved in, from Joyce Lewis to Susie Cohen-Lipp to Jeannie Waldman. Her neighbors, Barbara Latimer and Rosemary Schrader, and their families became lifelong friends and extended family to us. Growing up that way and with Supermom provided a powerful base for us. From Wausau and Madison, Toby infamously organized decades of family trips that combined education and fun in far-flung locales and stunning amounts of luggage. From portable cribs early on to a Parthenon scaling wheelchair, no joke, for a Greek islands trip. When we were little, 1 week was education, and depending on your age, you were required to do a drawing or a report or a project, Mexico City pyramids, Caribbean island foliage, and then a week of fun. Then for 25 years, as they got older and Wisconsin winters seemed colder, Toby and Peter gathered the family every winter at homes they rented in Key West. In her honor, Toby's children were sustained the tradition of the annual Wallach family Great Winter Schlep together, and the July 4th Fence Lake family powwow. Keeping her family together was a goal of Toby's, She lamented that she did not spend more time as adults with her two little brothers, Jay and Don, both of whom predeceased her. We are honored that Jay's wife, Aunt Jan, is here with us, and thankful that she and her son, cousin Mike, and Toby had lunch just a few months ago. In some ways, Toby was a woman ahead of her time. Among her stellar contributions to community and family in Wausau and later in Madison, Toby has been loved and valued as a mother and kind soul by many far beyond her own kids. She welcomed young gay people to our home as a welcoming and safe space in conservative 1980s Wausau, and since joyfully celebrated many a commitment ceremony and wedding, Ron and John, watching from Minneapolis, and a baby adoption. A favorite recent photo was set by Brett and Blake, his mom holding baby Birdie last summer. Toby was a somewhat proper and elegant woman, and also entirely welcoming and open to people from all walks of life. This open, loving sensibility was joined with her unflagging sense that with help, everyone could reach their dreams. Our mom marinated her niece Sonia in love and helped her attain her educational aspirations. She offered a stunning array of others who were not family, but people she encountered in her life, unflagging moral support, hugs, and encouragement to get an education, and offers to pay for that, and for family emergencies, and for more. Interestingly, this kindness, because for many people the first word about Toby is kind and generous-hearted, was met with a finely tuned no-good-nick meter. Toby and Peter built a thriving business, Wausau Scrap and Steel. Mom's behind-the-scenes role was rarely known, but her judgment and instincts, especially about people, were sharp. I can hear her saying to Dad, "I told you so-and-so was a bad apple." Both of our parents had a strong sense of tikkun olam and charitable instincts. Toby often took the lead, often without acknowledgement. She just made things right. They desperately needed new marching band uniforms for Wausau East in the 80s, scholarships, loans to friends and people she met to start small businesses or get out of a squeeze, gifts for extended family who needed help with schooling, medical crisis, and therapy. Toby was very big on therapy, no doubt for a social worker. With a quiet determination, she also played a big role in every community where she lived. Toby's contributions to and support for her community are epic, from a 1970s Brownie and Cub Scout troop leader to decades of community boards. She dedicated herself. She was the first woman president of Mount Sinai Congregation in Wausau, and with several friends, founded the Wausau Conservatory of Music. I vividly recall being in the back seat en route to Madison in 1991 with that team of formidable women plotting their meeting to get state grants for that conservatory, which they did. And then our Wausau dining room table piled high with funding request letters, grant applications, una nota bella annual gala fundraiser invitations to raise the private funds for the conservatory and eventually to purchase its building, where it still thrives 40 years later. And of course, she contributed directly with Dad to the Performing Art Board, where she got close to Chris Bremer, who became a Wallach family generation-spanning friend, who hosted a lovely dinner with Toby on Fence Lake last summer, and the conservatory, and helped building a Wausau synagogue. She hosted many a fantastic dinner to twist arms over her famous chocolate mousse. She modeled making things better. People sometimes ask me if my folks were political, given my work. I used to say not particularly, until I started thinking about walking around with her in our southeast Wausau neighborhood as a really little kid with a petition to get that damn spotlight on Grand Avenue added, and the bravery of being a out Democrat in Wausau, Wisconsin. And she did it with standout elegance, grace, and style. She had elegant taste, and as our dad used to lament, a close personal phone relationship with several department heads at the main Marshall Fields in Chicago. She blended rules: no ketchup bottles on the table except at the lake, no plate stacking, no light-colored shoes or purses except for Memorial Day to Labor Day, with a sense of flair and bohemian whimsy, and usually a silk scarf. In her honor, I'm wearing one of hers. With their kids well launched, Toby and Peter moved to Madison in 2002. They always wanted to live in a city where they'd have more cultural and educational opportunities. Their home here became the new gathering place for every holiday and a place to spend time with their grandkids. They continue to make weekend summer trips to their beloved cottage near Minocqua, a place they bought in '73, that Toby repeatedly organized expansions into the lake house, where we kids will continue to celebrate the memory of our parents and childhood fun into the future. They also made regular trips to Chicago to join the Lyric. Then after Peter passed in 2014, Toby overcame unimaginable hurdles to launch a totally new and surprisingly rich and good next chapter of her life. Losing Peter seemed insurmountable. They had been attached at the hip since 1957. And then a year later, in June 2015, she had a horrible highway car accident. Her body was smashed and broken. The doctor said she could not possibly recover. A person half her age maybe had a 2% chance, one doctor said. But her will to live and fighting spirit, excellent health care, and a team of loving family and friends over 18 months of hard work, from the ICU at the UW to rehab and more surgeries and back, delivered the miracle of her being at her 3 grandsons' bar mitzvahs and the next rich decade-plus years of her life. I know she would want me to thank again the amazing doctors and nurses and respiratory and physical therapists and stalwart friends, from Dr. Wallman helping us through those first hard weeks with wise counsel, and Jeannie with her loving care, to the whole team of friends who spent months encouraging her and sharing wonderful treats and Packers games, Scott Felbrugge, as she rehabbed in Wausau. She came back to Madison to continue healing, and she built a loving circle of friends. I see people here from Capitol Lakes in a beautiful apartment, accompanied by furry black cockapoo Sophie and a team of helpers, most recently led by the amazing Sharada Pandaru, who made her daily life a pleasure of safety and agency, who she loved dearly. We kids tried to pay back some of the unflagging support and care Mom gave us by helping her to be able to enjoy time at the lake and to travel, despite mobility challenges left from the accident. Our brother David took over planning the family winter trips and became a master at finding wheelchair-accessible homes for repeat visits in the last decade to Costa Rica, Hawaii, Puerto Rico, including this past winter, where Toby worked her stash of New York Times Sunday crossword puzzles under a palm tree on the beach with her straw sun hat and swam in the ocean. Toby stayed engaged. She served on the Madison Opera Board for 2 decades and was a generous supporter of the Madison Symphony and other cultural, Jewish, educational, and animal welfare organizations. Her wheelchair knew its way on its own to the Overture Center and the Cap Lakes Great Hall for concerts. At Cap Lake, she organized the Mahjong group, floor dinners, Asheville birthday celebrations for her beloved neighbor Georgia, and more. She was also a discerning political inquisitor, supporting progressive Democrats, typically after grilling one of her favorite Madison peeps, Mary Batari, and me about just who were the best choices. Toby was never happier than when spending time with her grandkids, reading them books as little guys, admiring the beautiful table Jacob crafted for her for the cottage, sometimes beating Noah at gin after Sunday sushi dinner at Grandma's, or an afternoon of art projects with Sam. Sam's art is all over Grandma's apartment. Toby's passing was unexpected and untimely. She was in and out of the hospital with pneumonia and then an intestinal infection. But 2 weeks before she died, she was having dinner at her apartment with family, slipping takeout chicken to Sophie under the table, as she was about to spend a few weeks in rehab to rebuild strength lost in the hospital time. Just 6 weeks ago, she reveled in a New Orleans to Memphis Viking River cruise that she took the initiative to organize. Lori, remember you said I needed to stop complaining that I always wanted to take a Mississippi cruise and just make a damn plan? Well, Richard from Viking is on the other line here with me. Can you go on May 2nd? It was such a fun and empowering experience, and to her surprise, she could get from that damn wheelchair up to a golf cart, balancing on a 45-degree river levee, and then onto a swamp boat in Louisiana, and tour buses in Mississippi, and the National Civil Rights Museum in Memphis. Being able to help her take that trip and the sheer joy and sense of her capacity that she derived from it. From the pre-trip visit to the New Orleans World War II Museum, to which she had donated to see information about her father, and to days on deck watching the river slide by over the cover of her book, and her appreciation for my efforts to maximize her enjoyment. This gives me some small solace as I feel the crushing sadness of this loss. She was plotting about when she could do the St. Louis to Minneapolis leg next, so she could go by her beloved Prairie du Chien hometown from shipboard. But septic shock ruined that plan. Although not before she heard on the TV news in her hospital room that Trump's name was taken off the Kennedy Center. Well, that's finally some good news, she said last Saturday morning. Thank God she had so many recent happy times with her family and friends before her rather amazing and too short life ended. Mom really got a bonus 11 years by overcoming that horrible accident, and that time was rich and fulfilling and happy gives us some comfort now. But I cannot feel this was not supposed to be her time. Just a few weeks ago, when leaving the hospital for rehab, she said, "I am not ready to die now. I have more things to do." Thank you all who came today to honor and celebrate Toby's life, to keep her memory as a living blessing. And special thanks to my friends Suzanne and Lori, who came from New York and California to be of special support. Mom loved them both. Thank you.
We grew. Upon reflecting on my grandmother's passing, I realized that she did bring a lot of people together, and her intelligence was vast, and that is absolutely reflected in what has become of her children and grandchildren. Both of her sons are teachers now in arts and religion, and Aunt Lori brings countless people together to do what's right in politics in Washington. Her organizational skills are something that I am happy to have taken her up on advice about when organizing a statewide improv association, because it seemed like the best way for us all to communicate. And upon her advice, we actually ended up doing a lovely convention, basically, a summit, that I told her every last detail about, talking on the phones with her for hours. This skill she had to bring people together and move people is brought on by her grandchildren as well. With Noah wanting to be a rabbi and help and inspire other people, bringing her Judaism and the want to have that Judaism as a part of people's lives continued through him, and through Sam's art that moves anyone who witnesses it. It's stunning. Recently I got to work with her on a lot of genealogy, starting to discover her side of the Shapiro family, and that was a real joy to talk with her on the phone for hours about every day, show her the tree I was working on, and it brought me a lot of comfort knowing that I was able to help her know more about who she was and where she came from. She adored the fact that not only her children, but her grandchildren were going on to get very advanced educational degrees. I'm currently working on finishing 2 bachelor's degrees, and Noah's going to continue with theology and rabbinical. And I know that that's something she was very proud of both of us for, and I'm really happy that she was able to see us start that journey, because it brings me some comfort knowing that she knew what we were going to do when Papa never really got that chance. So that's nice.
I just wanted to say that I'm truly grateful for all the opportunities that my grandma gave to Jacob, Sam, and I, and her children, and everyone surrounding her. If it was ever a question of education, it was always taken care of. It was never an issue. If you wanted to learn something, you would learn it. There was never like an issue. There was always a push to learn arts. We all were required to learn music. I just wish I had stuck with piano more instead of just learning saxophone, because piano would be nice too. But she was always at every single one of my concerts. Always. She insisted on being there, on supporting me. She was at all of my dad's too. And whenever she was able to, Uncle David's in New York. She was a fierce supporter of the fine arts and her family members. She made her greatest effort despite her mobility challenges, even if that meant that I had to shuttle her and her helpers around in my tiny Prius, like cramming the wheelchair into the back seat to get down to the Union for my dad's All-Stars concerts. We still made it, and they put on a beautiful show. I loved her so much, and she loved the world so much, and she truly wanted to make it a better place.
And she did.
Yes, she did. And because of that, I'm going to honor her memory and finish my years at UW-Madison as a fourth-generation Badger, and then go on to rabbinical school to carry up her legacy of healing the world and making it a safer place for everyone else. I'm grateful that she got to see her 3 grandchildren become the young men that we are today. I just wish she could have held out just a little bit longer, because yesterday I got to figure out which age group at the summer camp I'm working with, and she had been bugging me trying to figure out which group I got, and I just got the answer. I got 9th grade grandma. It was the one I wanted. But I know she can tell. I know she's here with us, even if it's not in body. She's still here in spirit. And she's watching over all of us. And she's in a happier place right now. She's with Papa. She's with George, little dog, the other little spoiled dog. They're
She's with her brothers.
Yeah, she's with their brothers. They're at peace. And they're smiling down at us, at the wonderful people we've become, and we're going to continue to be. And I hope we continue to make you proud, Grandma. We love you.
Take this opportunity for a moment of silence. Poem by the poet Henry Scott Holland. Death is nothing at all. I've only slipped away into the next room. I am I, and you are you. Whatever we were to each other, that we are still. Call me by my old familiar name. Speak to me in the same easy way which you always did. Put no difference into your tone. Wear no forced air of solemnity or sorrow. Laugh as we always laughed at the little jokes we enjoyed together. Play, smile, think of me, pray for me. Let my name be the household word that it always was. Let it be spoken without effect, without the shadow of a ghost on it. Life means all that it ever meant. It is the same as it ever was. There is absolutely unbroken continuity. Why should I be out of mind because I am out of sight? I am just waiting for you, for an interval somewhere very near, just around the corner. All is well.
In doing and in dreaming, you've been dropping seeds behind you that will flower in due time. And you may never know all the change that you helped sow, but just know that it's happening all the time. And you may never know all the beauty you helped grow, but just know that it's happening all the time. 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 In doing and in dreaming, you've been dropping seeds behind you that will flower in due time. And you may never know all the change that you helped sow, but just know that it's happening all the time. And you may never know all the beauty you helped grow, but just know that it's happening all the time.
At this time in our service, we'll turn to the traditional memorial prayers at a Jewish funeral. The first one is the words of El Male Rachamim, the prayer that asks that God's angels accompany Toby into life after life, something core in our Jewish tradition. Then we'll offer a final reading and then words of Mourner's Kaddish, Kaddish Yatom, which we'll say together. After the service, we'll ask our immediate family to accompany the casket to the hearse as they head up to the cemetery in Wausau. If you're heading up there as well, you can follow them out. Otherwise, the Shiva will be tomorrow at Capitol Lakes at 1:30 in the afternoon. We invite David back up to offer the words of El Male Rachamim. We'll ask you to please rise.
Rachamim, shochen bamromim, ametzei minucha nechona, techat kanfecha shchina, b'malot kiddushim utehorim, Ket Zohar Harakia Mazhi שהלך לעולמה בגן עדן תמונחתו. לכן בעל הרחמים הסתיריה בסתר כנפיך לכל עמים ויתרום החיים את נשמתם. אדוני הוא נחלתה ותנוח משלום על משכבה ונאמר
Amen. The inside of the program, read with me. In the rising of the sun and in its going down, we will remember her. In the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, we will remember her. In the opening of buds and in the rebirth of spring, we will remember her. In the blueness of the sky and in the warmth of summer, we will remember her. In the rustling of the leaves and the beauty of autumn, we will remember her. At the beginning of the year and when it ends, we will remember her. When we are weary and in need of strength, we will remember her. When we are lost and sick at heart, we will remember her. When we have joys we yearn to share, we will remember her. When we have decisions that are difficult to make, we will remember her. When we have achievements that are based on hers, we will remember her. So as long as we live, she too shall live, for she is now a part of us as we remember her. The back of the program, the words of the mourner's Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, Yalma divirak kirute v'yamlich malchute, v'chayechon uv'yomechon, uv'chaye dechol beit Yisrael, v'agala uv'izman kari b'imru amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'lamei almaya. Yiparach v'yishtabach v'yipa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yitale v'yithalal shemei d'chusha abrichu.
Le'ela mikol birchata v'shirata, tushvechata v'nechemata, damiran v'yalma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama Rabbah min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Oseh shalom v'imromav, u'ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, v'imru amen.
May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn, and comfort to all who are bereaved. May the source of peace send peace to all who love Toby, a woman of distinction, of courage, of compassion, and of kindness. May the source of peace send peace to her family and her friends as they continue their grieving. May we be together as one in harmony, one in memory, and one in peace. O Hoseh Shalom b'mromav, u'yaseh Shalom aleinu, ve'al kol
ישראל, ואמרו, אמרו אמן. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. Amen. I invite you guys to come and help. That concludes our service. Anyone else that is driving up to the cemetery at Wausau, I encourage you to head out with the family now. Otherwise, please share a story or a memory of Toby.